Questions for the lighting department, part 2. Did you notice that just changed the exposure there? That's a slight annoying quirk of this particular camera. If entering the industry, would you need to know how to use every lighting desk?
No.
No. Everybody has their own favourite desk, and it tends to be what you get to play with. And the only way to learn to program a lighting desk is to play with it and get to know it. And once you've been using it for a while, people tend to settle with one favourite lighting desk. Would you say that? Certainly through here, Jerry, the lighting designer on this show, he's using a Hog 4, and I think that's his desk of choice, just because he's super familiar with it, and it is a very, very good desk. That's high-end systems to the Hog 4, isn't it?
Who used to be Flying Pig high-end still, is it?
It's very hard.
Know who.
It's hard to tell who owns who in the light industry these days. It's they keep buying each other.
Yeah, I think, I mean, if you're on a big gig, there's one person who's going to be doing the lighting desk. It's not something that you'll sort of jump between. You know, you have your own individual roles, so you can go through your whole career without touching a lighting desk, essentially.
The only time I tend to use a lighting desk is when I'm testing lights. So I've never actually programmed a show as such. It's always just been maintenance behind the scenes. It's because my show would look absolutely terrible. It would look like some cheap disco, probably. That's how I'm going to say. Fruit salads or blackjacks? Oh, Matt,
Tough
what about
choice,
you?
but fruit salad.
Fruit salad, yeah.
Fruit salad. How do you sing fruit salad?
You thought it was going to be
I thought it was going to be
blackjack-y
blackjacks. Fruit salad is a fruit-flavoured chewy sweet. Blackjack is the aniseed version of that. I always thought it was licorice, but apparently it's aniseed.
Oh, is it? I thought it was licorice.
I don't know, it's black.
Okay.
But I think
I like them both, but the
they're
fruit
both
salad
nice,
is
yeah,
the winner.
okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Real-time lighting. I once turned the lights out on Hawkwind. What safeguards are in place to prevent idiot crew like me ruining the show?
Nothing.
Nothing really. I could go and turn the power off right now, but I probably wouldn't. But things happen, you know. Things happen this job. Like we've had the guys that raise and lower the flags in the job. They've tripped over the cables and they've pulled DMX connectors out or broken it, and suddenly you lose a chunk of the lighting up in that area. So we divide everything into small portions to try and protect against that. How often are PLCs, programmable logic controllers, used in stage work, live events, and what sort of applications are they used in? I can only think of one PLC in this job, and that's in the lift. We have an elevator that brings all our equipment up, our light equipment. The only other place in the theatre, in the live sort of like the big musicals where you've got a lot of automated stages, they all have PLCs running them behind the scenes. But on jobs like this, not an awful lot. Is there any room for sneaking in bits that you can call your own in the show? Not really. No.
Probably wouldn't want to.
Really,
generally.
you wouldn't want to, because generally speaking, we're here to do what the light designer wants.
You'll get in trouble with the light design.
It wouldn't be too thrilled. All departments. What do you look for in crew? Have you ever worked with anyone with high functional autism? The answer is a lot. Everybody. The event industry is run by savants.
Everyone's a bit weird.
They are. That's one of the primary
the
qualifications
thing, yeah.
for the event industry is being weird. Vince, for instance, is extremely weird. Sometimes it's a struggle, but oh dear. It's a miserable, cold, wet, and windy evening, and you're working high up in the stands. Ever asked yourself, what am I doing here?
Yes. Many times.
Yeah, particularly when it's this really annoying thing that when sometimes electrical equipment breaks down in the rain and suddenly it's really needed to be working again and everything's wet. And
it's when you're doing a get out quite often. It's the end of the gig and it's like late and you're tired and it's just stuff everywhere. And
some events, when you do a get out, they're manky. They're just all the dirt is built up under the stands and stuff like that. It's just
stuff covered in beer.
The tattoo runs most every day for a month and is pretty big and complex. Are there any differences about how you run the tattoo against other projects to get it to run so reliably for so long? Waterproofing is the biggest one. Lots and lots. Really careful thought about the cables, how the lights are mounted, and lots of waterproofing is a prime directive, as Robocop would say. We make sure everything's going to be as waterproof as we can make it. That's lots of fireworks going off in the background. Why is DMX still the standard? Why not move to an Ethernet IP protocol for light control? And the answer is it's robust, reliable, it's around, it's one of the simpler things, simpler networks.
A lot of companies have all the equipment already, so they've got like miles and miles of data cable and buffer boxes and whatnot. There's no point in changing it. It functions perfectly well.
Yeah, Vince has written a reply here. I'll give you Vince's reply. DMX, being a broadcast-based protocol, is very robust, and the cabling is also relatively reliable and resilient. Although many modern fixtures do take ArtNet direct in, this requires extra Ethernet switches, and if you have a failure in a unit, the data tends to stop there. With DMX, the through connection keeps working even with an individual fixture failure. Many systems are now using ArtNet, MANet, HogNet, other proprietary manufacturers' networks are available. Backbone with the final connection out to a truss or series of lights being DMX, because it's proven it works. It's not perfect at all, but it's pretty robust and standardized. How common would it be for various members of the crews in the two to work together on other jobs? Is there a lot of variation in who's on any given job in a single crew, or are the crews themselves fairly consistent? Just wondering how much an event like this is a bit of a reunion of people who know each other fairly well versus a different mix each time.
Well, in my case, this is my first one, but lots of the jobs I do, you have the same crew. If
there's a core
they're
team.
Yearly jobs, you tend to have the same people. Sometimes somebody will be doing something else.
Because we know how everything goes together and it's consistent, it means that when we all come to the job, we kind of know how everything goes in. So
it's quite a small industry as well, really, in many ways. You're constantly bumping into people abroad in certain jobs, even if they're on a different part of a job in a different venue.
You just kind of know everybody, really. Yeah. It's just you turn up in a job and it's like a reunion every time. How many DMX universes do you use? So that's been covered. We've got 13 DMX universes in this job. Do xenon bulbs really explode? Yes, they do.
They can.
Particularly when they're hot. Xenon bulbs are used in some follow spots still, and definitely in some projectors. Less so these days, I think. But when they fail, they're actually at higher pressure to start off with than atmospheric pressure. And particularly with old lamps and particularly hot lamps, the pressure increases, and you have to wear a face mask, you have to wear gloves and an apron, and if you don't, the chances are you're going to get peppered completely with tiny particles of smashed quartz if they explode.
And the ones used in like a...
I know somebody who ended up in hospital having bits of glass taken out.
So do yeah, I know that. I remember when that happened. We were in this job when it happened, didn't it? And it wasn't on this job.
If you like change a bulb, a xenon bulb, and like a follow spot, they have a little like nipply bit sticking out, which are quite delicate. So every time I've changed one, I always look at the little nipply bit, which is the weak point, and make sure you don't clang.
So you always look at the nipples. Rightio. Does anyone still use carbon arc spotlights? Not these days. They're really vintage. The only time you'd see those being used is in an artistic way or some sort of vintage film where they wanted that effect. Just saw a video of the entrance of the Pipe and Drum Corps. At one point, the leader is in two side spots, one from each side, but as they march down the field and back up, the angle of those lights and the guy doesn't seem to change. It literally looks like the lights are moving back and forth with him. How are they doing that? Do they have a line of spots and hand off one to the next as he marches back and forth? I'll say this, it definitely looks cool. That's Cara deals with that. She's calling the follow spots at the moment. And part of the lighting is all the lights in the auditorium are sequenced. They can actually gradually fill up as a band enters. But the follow spots, we have 4 down either side and another 4 at the end. And they do a transition. They gradually, one will gradually pull up as the other goes down. So you get a very soft transition that you might not see. But it does hand from follow spot to follow spot. It's done very well. How many hours of programming for lighting? That's just an ongoing thing in this job. Jerry spends nights programming this because you don't really know what the acts are going to be until basically the show has started. You don't know how it's going to look and what the lighting is going to need. He can do some of the groundwork in advance, and some of the cues and stuff like that will be from last year, but with different colours and things like that. So you'll have a basic palette to work with, but it evolves steadily. I mean, literally the first show looks different from all the others because it keeps evolving once we know what it's finally going to look like, once they've finally sorted what it's going to do. What's your favourite piece of equipment to get your hands on and tinker with? Anything really. Any new gadgets quite good.
Yeah.
I like a good decent light. I like to get a new light from a different manufacturer and take it a bit to see what's inside. Which do you prefer, RS components or Farnell? Each has their own merits.
Yeah.
Farnell are kind of cheaper. They have some more exotic components. RS, if you need a component in a hurry, RS Components, which stands for Radio Spares, will have that component for you the next day. They're very good that way. Soup. Chunky vegetable or consomme, which is runny soup.
Consomme.
I think
prefer
chunky vegetable.
I like the watery ones, the kind of Asian watery soups.
Yeah.
Noodle soups.
French
onion.
Yeah. During anyone's time in the crew, what has been the single technical product innovation that has made our job so much more convenient, efficient, or easier? I would say onboard diagnostics and the lights.
Yeah, well, yeah. I've got my DMX tester. It's got an RDM, so it can communicate with.
RDM is a standard which is reverse compatible with DMX, but it allows two-way communication, and it's not really taken off super tons yet. They're including the lights, but one of the main advantages is you can access service menus, and some lights will tell you how fast the fans are running. They'll tell you what temperatures are, so it's good for diagnostics as well as testing the lights. It's very, very good. They are evolving that way, but they have to because they're really complex. What's the worst environment you've worked in for your speciality?
Saudi Arabia.
Was that the heat out there in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, we've registered a ground temperature of 62 degrees.
62
coming off
degrees.
the Terraclass in the stadium. It was
Celsius.
horrific.
That's horrific. So how did the lights deal with that?
They were alright. We only had a few issues. Nothing.
Okay.
I mean, some stuff would temp out, but it was a lot of it was making sure the fixtures, when they were parked during the day, weren't pointing up towards the sun.
Oh, that's a
bunch
good
of
point.
LED fixtures,
Yeah.
a bunch of other ones which all horribly go wrong if you have sunlight going backwards through the optics.
And basically burn everything. What Vince is saying there was they had heat problems in Saudi Arabia, did you say it was? Really high temperatures, and they had to park the lights specifically when they'd finished the run of the show. They had to park them in a way that would definitely point away from sunlight entering through the lens system, because the lens system is capable of catching a lot of light and channeling it into the optics, and will burn components inside the lights under those circumstances. What do you keep in a sporran?
I guess.
I don't know. Money.
These days it's mobile phones, isn't
I've
it?
never had one. So
I've never.
I don't want one either.
No,
to be
it's a
honest.
bit awkward. Not even a utilikill. The problem is we're up in the lighting grid, and wearing kilts with no panties is just frowned upon for some reason. How many yards of gaffer tape are required to present the Royal Military Tattoo? Not much. We don't use much gaffer
A
tape.
roll or two.
We use a lot of insulation tape for just strapping a bunch of cables up, but
Tons of that.
we use gaffer tape is mainly the fluorescent stuff used to mark positions and mark hazards to make people aware. Is there any piece of equipment that is big Clive proof? Do you have to hide stuff so you won't take it to bits or blow it up? Vince says nothing is big Clive proof. We do discourage blowing stuff up though. They do. They won't let me blow stuff up. They use excuses like the smoke detectors. It's just a bit shallow if you ask me. So yeah, that is more or less it. We've got the backup generator system. We've already said it's the Hog 4 we're using in this.
Fruit salads.
Most everything. I think we've just covered every question now. That's Carbon Art Labs. Oh yeah, in 1973, my lens cap blew over the edge of the parade grounds. Any chance of getting it back? Was it black? There's a black one somewhere. I think it's in the bucket of lens caps. All right, okay. We're getting. Yeah, we're going to have to. Yeah, that's the end of the show. We're going to have to go now. So that's the end of the second part.